Hi, I'm Max. I'm going to talk about comic book artists of the past, present, to inspire the future. This is where I'm going to break down what makes comic book artists great and what they do best. Comic books. Today we're going to talk about Mexican artist Humberto Ramos.
We interrupt this program for an on-the-spot news report.
Hi, Max from the future. In this video, I actually forgot to mention that this video is actually about Humberto Ramos as a comic book artist. He has refined over the years and grown a lot. So this is where I want to show you how you can see how you have to refine your style and learn how to use your fundamentals and what you've learned over the years to refine what you want, where you want to be in terms of being a comic book artist or illustrator, and refine your style. Keep in mind, artists do grow over the years and there's no need to rush. Of course you want to rush to get your style and get somewhere, but you have to learn what you know, and with everything you know, your perspective, your background, your training and everything, it's best to take your time and refine and refine and refine. We'll keep saying that over and over, but you know what? I'll get you back to the main video and enjoy. Cheers. Let's see what we can learn from this art style method that makes him the coolest artist around. First, a little history of Ramos. He was born 24th November 1970, best known for his work for Impulse, Runaway, Spectacular Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, and my personal favorite, Crimson. He started drawing comics in 1989 at Kaboom Comics. In 1998, he started working on a supernatural horror fantasy comic book called Crimson. It was released under the imprint of Cliffhanger. That same imprint that had Battle Chasers and Danger Girl. Battle Chasers drawn by Joe Madeira and J. Scott Gamble, who did Danger Girl. Crimson was actually the first comic book I've learned of Ramos' style. It was something outside the mainstream comic, but kind of brought Ramos to the limelight and partly made an impact on his career. Later on, Ramos did another creator-owned comic book called Out There. It was same vein as Crimson, but it was a little bit more darker and more out there, pun intended. Side note, both Crimson and Out There was written by the same guy, Brian Augustine. While Ramos was busy working Out There, he did a lot of cover commissions for Marvel's Spider-Man run, Peter Parker Spider-Man. With the company Dark Horse, he did another non-mainstream comic book called Revelation. That was a bit more mature, a little bit darker. I will show you his work. But he still kept his style, but although he refined his style a little bit more. From there, he went back to Marvel, doing Wolverine and a few other Spider-Man runs. And then he later on created The Champions alongside the well-known writer Mark Waid. Currently, at the moment, he is busy drawing Strange Academy with Scotty Young, another cool storyteller, comic book artist, but he's doing the writing on this time. You should check out this comic book. It's quite cool and it's Humberto's best work. His style is known for a hyperkinetic cartoon style. It's a fusion between hyperkinetic energy and cartoon style. He does mix a bit of a reality in his style. I can see that he knows his anatomy and fundamentals, but from the exaggerated poses, anatomy, to his energy and the way he draws characters and the flow of the action. Yes, that he was influenced by Arthur Adams with a little bit of manga that came out during the late 80s into the 90s. And interesting enough, he also mentioned that Joe Madeira was another influence on him. I think it's because of Battle Chasers. Although Ramos and Madeira has similar energy and influence from manga, they're totally two different sides. Joe's more manga orientated, while Ramos is more cartoony. You can't deny the influence on both of them, like the manga that's on them, and even Arthur Adams, because Arthur Adams also influenced both of them. So they also bit influence each other, because I think of the imprint, Cliffhanger imprint. Here's an artist that I think that influenced Ramos very, very much. It is Carlos Maglia. I apologize if I put your name, but this guy is a very huge influence on Ramos in his career. If you look at Carlos' style, it's very like a European cartoony style. And you compare the two between Ramos and his style, there was a bit of similarity in the energy of the workflow and the way they exaggerate the characters. I think this where Ramos actually went, this is what my style should be and I want to be inspired to be, but not aping it and copying it. I think Ramos really had influence in it. He just found a direction in the style. And it's very important to remember, in whatever influence you have, you always have to make sure the style that you want to follow, you want to make it your own style as much as you can, but also honoring the style that you've been influenced by. And I think Carlos that kind of influence that Ramos wanted to bring into his work. Now, with the fundamental of art and comic books drawing, Ramos injected his style and influence from Carlos Maglia and manga, German Herrera, Arthur Adams. I think this is where having the fundamental is very important. You can copy a style or you can influence by a style. If you don't know your fundamentals, your style will be just not work. And I think this is where Ramos did it right. He knew his fundamentals, he knew how to draw it, and from there he can evolve the way he draws into a style that's come now. And having a fundamentals and few influences can bring out that style out of you. Ramos didn't overdo the exaggeration of the characters, but kept the fundamentals and anatomy intact, so the characters can be believable. You don't want to take the readers out of the story by having a weird style that doesn't make sense, but still at the same time believable. Still, it can be you. Ramos, I think, have achieved a good balance of style and believability in his work. So can you. So now we're going to look at some of this work that I've collected over the years, and I will show you on the table, and I'm going to show you the comparison of where Ramos has been and how he has grown. And I'm sure you will see that his style has sort of stayed the same all the way through, but it has grown. We're going to have a look at Humberto Ramos' work. So I have a few of his works here, and I would like to showcase some of the growth that he has gone through and some of the refinement of his style. So I'm going to start with Grimson. That's the one I have started with and known him well for. Here's what it's got. It's a bit worn out, and it's under Cliffhanger imprint that I mentioned before. Yeah, it's a bit worn out, but it was great to see how style evolved. You can see here he's got this long style and this cartoony kind of look with the big eyes. That's how his style tends to be. And you can see here all the sketches and how he created the character. He does tend to do this nose thingy and eye, a lot of big eye. If you notice now throughout the stuff that I'm going to show you, is that he tends to draw youth kids very well, like young kids very well. And his style was changed over the years. Like if you look here, like he does do exaggerated kind of things, but it's based on reality. If you look here, you use a lot of black spots, and like the drawing style is very based on reality. And he tries to exaggerate in the style that he wants to work with. And if you notice here, look at this nose thing here. he always does this really scratchy nose kind of line stuff, and that he tends to use that a lot, especially in impulse. I've seen online that it's impulse styles like that. And over the years he is a bit gory, just to warn you, and he has this tendency to also to draw the eyes a bit bigger, like the eyes and the cartoony style and the nose stuff. But he tends to draw very dark, so emphasis on the style that he chose to do with this drawing and stuff. And yeah, he's been grown a lot over the years and it's changing and stuff. He still used the scratchy style, and the style's gone better over time, but he still kept the style. And here's a little fun fact I will not show you now. He tends to draw the hands very well, and this is why I learned how to draw the hands. If you look carefully, here's the hands and drawn very well over here, and that's where I learned how to draw the hands. As mentioned, it's Brian Augustine, Humberto Ramos, and Santos. Santos is the inker. I think, in my opinion, Ramos best inker on his work. And her style is very like precisely what Ramos is about. And if you look over here, the bushy eyebrows, he tends to draw like that, and when it comes to female or young character, the eyes is very thin. So it's quite a lot of cool. You can see where he came from, and you can look here. If you look at the stuff, it's got long legs, short torso, and long arms, big hands. It's kind of like very manga-ish, with a bit of art Adams kind of drawing. So you can see the bit of that influence on the sleeve. And then in here's volume 2 of Grimson, Heaven and Earth, same team. Here, this is where it gets interesting. When I got this comic book, I started to notice he changed the character's style. He still kept his old style, usual style, this scratchy nose kind of thing, but he changed the hair. So that was quite interesting, where he decided to change it up a bit. So imagine the kid has grown up a little bit. He's immortal, unfortunately, because he's a vampire, and he still does the bushy eyes. He changed it up a bit. He still used extreme exaggeration of the head, like expression, stuff like that. And here's another thing I noticed: the way he draws the hair is also a very interesting thing, where he just more of like most realistic style, like over here. But then the girl's curly hair, he does it a bit more like shaggy kind of style. And then later on down the line, I'm going to show you something interesting. It's also here somewhere. Like when Alex sees the flow of the character, because you tend to use that kind of way of drawing. And that's made me realize that if you want to do a character in a certain pose, you have to learn how to be fluid with the character. I would imagine you would draw the circle and it's just like go from here and go around, go down, because you want the angle come down. So the idea is it's not this, it's this, like an S shape down the curve. And that's where you have to like learn how to break down the guy's drawing style. Because if you like a guy's style and you want to break it down, the best way to break it down is to know your fundamentals and see where you can break it down. Let's say, for example, I'm going to just go randomly here. If you look at him, head's round, but he's lengthened along the length of the face to exaggerate the face upwards, and you can see the mouth a bit more. His line of work is right down like this, and that's easy to figure out the breakdown. If you break stuff like that down, you will get much better on understanding how artists draw. Over here, he draws a circle, he breaks in a blocky style. His style tends to be like sometimes blocky and curvy in some places, and then when it comes to female characters, it's very curvy. And then he also does a very interesting thing. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere here. If you look at the eye, he does a lot of, he doesn't do lashes, but he does like a streak of what you call lines. where it's like, if that's eyelashes, that's it. Keep it simple and very basic. And then yeah, and here's a funny one. Oh, sorry, my page. Here's Joe Mann. His contribution for a cover of Grimson. That's really interesting. Here's also, it's like you use a lot of expressive continuing style and bring it into it. Even over here, the way he draws the teeth and stuff, that kind of continuing style tends to go through here. Yeah, moving on to the next volume, which is called Earth Angel. It's volume 3, still the same team. Here he started to get a little bit better. If you see the length of the arms, the anatomy is still there. It's just the style, how he draws the face and everything. And here, the eyes get interesting here. The eyes get thicker, the eyebrow get thinner, and the way he draws characters very like streamlined down and more refined. But he still draws exaggerate continuing style here and there. So he still uses this hatching stuff here and there. So he still has the past version of the old comic book artists, like the Image guys, Layfield or Leif, pardon his name, Jim Lee and those guys. He still do the scratch stuff that the old school 90s guys still do. And then later he brings a bit more the black pupil. I will point that out. That's an interesting one. The black pupil for he done. Here, if you look at the girl's eye, he actually makes it more blocky. So you can see it's more for girls' eyelashes. So he doesn't do that whole typical like you know we used to do like that. And so he tends to start to involve. He started to involve. You can see how much he involved. He still got the same style. But the bushy eyebrow is still there, the way he draws lips and everything. Sorry about this fly. And then further down, he gets more, I don't know, refined with his style. And further on, his actions and everything gets better and more intense. You can see the way he lays out stuff is also getting more intense. Like his anatomy is getting, it's still refined and he's still getting like his style through. And the eyes especially is getting more refined. He's refining the eyes. And then the fourth one, which was a cool one, that's the last of the Crimson one, where he actually still kept the style, he still refined it over time, but it's very slow. You can see it's a very slow progress. Like the bushy eyebrows still there, the anatomy. Like I would aspire to draw like this if I could, because I would draw my anatomy almost like this. I still have a lot to learn, but I also learned that the way he draws eyes also is quite different, and he's very expressive, very cartoony, but at the same time his style. So over time he got better. I think the last bit of issue was very quick, and they had to finish it off, which is a pity. So like especially over here, there's like quickie, a block. Now you can see the styles. Big eyes still with the girls, thinner eyes, expressive, very thin, and very simple. And then yeah, because of the volume 1, I bought the volume 1 done by Boom Studios, which is great to see. And still, now you can actually see the difference. Look how that's his style, and you go in the back to that style. See how much he grown over the time after working so long. Still have to get volume 2, which I will try to get hopefully soon. If he lands here in South Africa, I will definitely get it, because I want to keep this, keep reading it, because it's still inspiration. He's still, and this is a new style he's drawn now, which you will see now. So you can see now it's created by Oscar Pitter, Francisco Hackenbeck, and Humberto Ramos. So this story but Brian Alderson was the writer, and Hope is still the inker. She's one of the coolest inker in here. Then welcome between the panels, where I'll talk about between the comic book world and outside. Today I want you to check out Jackson's Blood Force Trauma issue 3. I read the first 2 issues. I really dig it. It's a tribute to cool fighting games like Street Fighter and other stuff in that era. It's a mix of cyberpunk, cool character design work from Jackson. It's written alongside Hiram Corbett. I think the Kickstarter is fully funded by now. You can still back it up, and there should be a reward to get all 3 issues. I put the link down in the description below, and I think you should really check it out and back them up. He did a few Spider-Man, and down the line he did Runaways, one of my favorite. Humberto Ramos, Christina Strain, and Dave Meekers. It's one of the few stories, and the creator of Strange Panther, Terry Moore, did this run of the Runaways. Here, if you look, his style is more exaggerated. He's more cartoony. He's getting more comfortable, and look at the way he exaggerated the portions. So here he's starting to get more fun and getting used to the style that he's doing. Here's a little thing I notice here. See this little face here? That looks a lot like German Derriere style, because that's the way he draws that cross eye. If you look here, like cross eye with the eye underneath. It's a very easy way to like draw an angry eye without like pulling too much. A few lines do that. This one was more colorful because of the colorist. Let's check who the colorist is. Christina Strain. Inks by Dave Meekers, so it was a bit different inker than Santos. I think Santos, I hope, is more thicker and more like realistic as possible, whereas now Humberto Ramos has gone into a more cartoony style, and he's more used to it now. So you can see he still does the realistic stuff, the clothes and stuff, and now he's moved away from the scratchy nose. Check. Yeah, and he still has it. He still brings them back, but he's doing it less, if you notice. And he's also doing different faces and stuff. So his style's got more refined. The hair, especially, not realistic. It's more easier to draw for him to like. It's still like he simplified it more, but not too much. To like point at just a block of hair. It's just, you can see the lines, and then down the line he's probably over here. He's starting to see what he wants to do. Funny, my cat just walked in. So yeah, and he also does a lot of teamwork stuff that he likes to do, and yeah, and then later down the line he starting to, I think this style was a bit, I was getting used to it because I was very used to Grimson's style, and this one was a bit where he found himself, but he does it, he just stuck to it, and that's why I was like, okay, maybe this is something I have to get used to. So I think the next comic book, I think I got the wrong order of the day when it came out. This was 2009. So this is the next one. This is a mature one. Now here's the interesting, this one is much different to what he does now. Here, this one is art by Humberto Ramos, which is interesting. He doesn't ink it. This Leonardo Orlea and Edgar Delgado, and the letters by Richard Dawkins, legendary letterer. We'll talk about him one day. And Paul Jenkins is the writer. Here's a different thing. With this cover, they give you an idea. This is still his style, but it's more mature. And if you look closely, it's more familiar. No ink lines. It's just pencils. So I have a feeling it's done in pencil, sent to the colorist to color it in, and give that kind of cool papery pencil line. He starts the Icamus like kind of feel to it. It's the proportion is always like what he does with the style and the exaggeration. And here's a little thing: the eyes, as I mentioned before on the Runaways, he's bringing it in here and stuff like that. It's like interesting that he's starting to mature a little bit and refine the style a little bit more. Like you can see this pencil lines. I think here he's starting to become more at ease with the style that he's got now, and also try to refine it more into more the painterly stuff. So because there's no inker, that means he has to like be definitive. There's no like loosey sketch and give to the inkers like you have to figure out the line. He just stick to it. The only problem I got with this comic book I wouldn't notice is that these lines are very small, but when it comes to the text, compared to two now here, the text is a bit thicker, like bigger font size to that. As a graphic designer, it knocked me out for a bit because I had to get used to such big, thick text and small dialogue or captions down the line. Like that is fine, but when you come down, that one's fine. But I think it's because maybe with the black, the rich black against the screen black. Here's a thing that I guess I already got you. This recipe for kiddies, but this is a very mature comic book. I will not go through that, but I want to go into the end. I want to show you something. I think he handed it like this. You see here, he handed it like this. So it must have took a long while to get to a sheet to kill. This is the cover. Well, this isn't even the cover. Look here. That is how he handed in, and that's just the pencil imprint, and that's just handed in like that. So I think that's how he did it, and then the color. And here's the cover. This is the only ink one, the cover. So this is one of the books you would like to check out. It came out, I don't know when it came out, 2006. So this is before the Runaway. So you can see the style has changed from here to there. So I think he matured on this, but you want to go back to the a little bit exaggerated style. So I'm assuming, I might be wrong. Then I went to Extraordinary Gentleman. I haven't read this book yet, but I bought it to showcase that his recent style, and I want to check alongside with you guys and notice something. His style is a combination of Revelation and the Runaways, and I think the inker is Victor Olazaba. Colorist Edgar Delagonda came back. Humberto Jeff Meyer. I haven't heard the miss with the writer. He does write some cool stuff. See, exaggeration. Normal realistic head, exaggeration. You know? Normal body, exaggerate. The portion looks perfectly fine. But that's his style. I think from here, he decided to combine the two worlds, the realistic stuff and his cartoony style, but still sticking to the Marvel sense of drawing. Like over here, you look over here, it's like realistic. It's not Humberto Ramos that you know of Grimson. So I think he has matured a lot more, and this is something you need to know. Like, you are allowed to go from Grimson to here. Sorry. So you are allowed to go from one place to another. You are allowed to, because I feel like a lot of artists has this feeling of they want to grow, and they will grow, but it took years. It's from 1998 till 2000 and 2016. This is 4 or 5 years ago. So look how his style changed from this style to say, for example, here, not far off, but he is willing to get far. Apologies if I reveal anything cool, but look, he still does the eyelashes, but now he added it more. He still does the cross-eye thing. He still does the simplified hairstyle. He still has anatomy in thing. He still has his proportions. He's still exaggerating. Okay, but one got quite cool artist, and he still used. But I think he grown a lot as an artist. This hair is a bit much for me, but he's grown a lot as an artist, and he was willing to experiment, willing to do that. I think he found his style. Ever since doing Spider-Man, I think he had to refine it, because he's been growing a lot with from here to here, and I think Revelation was the in-between point. I want the cartoon style, I want the mature style to get here where he wants to. And this is something you need to take away from this, is that Humberto Ramos is a Mexican artist, and he got a lot of influence from the Mexican background. He's got a lot of influence from where he's from what his background, his family, his friends, and these will seep in. But I also think there's also the influence of manga, Arthur Adams, Carlos Meglia, all these guys, and I think that is something that I would like to aspire to, because I want to see my style come from here to here. But not saying copying his style, but I mean like growth. And I think I've grown a lot. And one day I will do a video of my stuff that I've seen how I've grown. I think it's a good thing that you need to look at your old work and your new work and compare and see how far you have grown. Because not because your line work will influence you, it's also the colors, the inker, the way you see the world will influence the way you draw. And I think it's best for you to not to rush it. That's the important thing. Don't overdo it, don't rush it. Just grow naturally. Because I see a lot of artists trying to rush and change their style drastically for some reason. And there are some artists I will point out, like I will do a segment about artists that change from one style and suddenly shift to another style that is totally drastically. And there's some artists that I really followed over the years, and I saw they changed their style drastically. And it's a pity to see that will knock you out. And then I'm a fan of this style, but then suddenly you shift it. Here, I'm still a fan of Humberto Ramos because two things. He still sticks to his style, but he grew. And I think this is something you need to think about when you do this kind of stuff. So that ends this segment over here. Let's go back to me in the chair. Here's what I learned looking over Ramos' work. He achieved the look and feel of style without sacrificing the fundamentals. Style will come naturally, and working out your fundamentals is very important. Somewhere down the line, you will combine your background, your perspective of the world, the influence through your drawing hands. I would recommend not to rush it because style will come naturally. If you feel like you have to have style, don't. Just keep on drawing and it will come naturally. Maybe that is the style. If you drew and that's your style, then it should be your style. If you're not happy with it, there's a thing called refine. So don't rush it, but you will learn how to refine as you grow as an artist like Ramos. So where you can find this work is basically from the past till now if you can. I would recommend Crimson, Bay Quest, some of the Spider-Man works, Revelation, Extraordinary X-Men, And please do check out Strange Academy. It's really cool work there. He's starting to get into his style over there, and I'll have put down in the links down below, so you can check his stuff out, the social media, and also I probably put some links of his work that you should check out and buy it from Amazon or wherever I can put in there. Please comment your suggestion about for the next comic book artist I should check out or talk about. Even manga artists too, or any other artists, comic book artists in Europe or wherever. And please tell me what you learned from the video, and any critiques are welcome. Thank you. That's it for today. Be nice, be cool. Don't forget to support your scene. Cheers.